Welcome to Pacific Mystery School. Now we're going to talk about the Tarot family, also known as the court cards or the face cards of Tarot. You can read a lot more about this in my books, Tarot of the Spirit, and also Kabbalah and Tarot of the Spirit. But I want to give an introduction that I always leave things out, when I talk about this, and I think later, I should have talked about this, but I'm going to do my best to just give you an overview right now. And you're absolutely welcome to ask questions as we go through this. So I want to begin by saying that the Tarot family that I am talking about is specific to Tarot of the Spirit. It can also be used in the back of your mind when you're working with other tarot decks, but it's very specific to Tarot of the Spirit in the way that we created and put together the deck. Okay, so first of all, I want to say that Tarot of the Spirit is a Kabbalistic tarot deck. Okay, who knows what that means when I say that? Does anybody have a sense now about what that means to say it's a Kabbalistic deck? Mm-hmm. What does it mean?
Well, it goes on the Tree of Life.
It fits on the Tree of Life. All the cards fit on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, which is a diagram depicting the outflow of the universe, basically, in the 1 through 10 pattern. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on the Tree of Life. And the whole Tarot of the Spirit not only fits on that diagram of the Tree of Life, but it was so important to the creation of this deck that every single card in the Tarot of the Spirit was painted on a diagram of the Tree of Life. So when you buy a Tarot of the Spirit deck today, what comes inside the deck is a transparent overlay with a diagram of the Tree of Life on it that then fits over every card. So you can look at every card through that diagram. So the cards both fit on the diagram and the diagram fits in the cards. So the whole Tarot of the Spirit is a holographic Kabbalistic tarot deck. It's a hologram. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Tarot of the Spirit is also a shamanic tarot deck. Okay, what does that mean? Does anybody have any idea about why I say that?
The elements.
Exactly. It works with the basic 4 elements of shamanism the world over. And when I moved into the creation of the Tarot of the Spirit, I already had a deep shamanic background, and I already understood all that about the fire, the water, the air, the earth, and imagining that as the directions. Like shamanically, if you're calling the directions, you're calling the fire, you're calling the water, you're calling the wind, you're calling when you do ceremony, when you do ritual. And so I was already versed with all of that. So it was very easy for me to see how that fits into the tarot, because you have your basic tarot suits. Before Tarot of the Spirit, no one ever went to the shamanic level where you had the fire, the water, the air, and the earth. I don't know if there's some decks maybe that do now. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, why shouldn't they? We went to the element instead of the symbol that represented the element. So, for example, in fire, our suit of fire, the element that that represented that was the wand. Okay, so you have the wands, the suit of wands, for example, the suit of cups, the suit of swords, and the suit of coins, or it could be called other things, pentacles, or, whatever. There are different,
Discs.
What is it? What are
discs? I think.
Discs, yeah. Okay, so what we did is we went to the element. For example, the wand is a stick of wood. It's like if you break a wand off a tree, like a willow wand. This is a willow wand, right? Off a piece of willow. And when that dries out, before it dries out, it's got sap running through it. And that is elemental. The sap is elemental. Even with willow, Uh-oh, I might get off track now. But you can take a piece of willow that looks like it's dead, you can stick it in water, and it will bloom again. Because here's another mystery. Now I'm off my own track here. Here's another mystery, and this is a mystery of all of the deep spiritual traditions. What is dead is not dead. What seems dead is not dead. You watch, it's going to come alive. And that's particularly true with the wands. Okay, so here's the wand. The wand is spirit, right? What is the wand? It's the living spirit. But if it's completely dried out, it contains fire. And fire can also dry out. But so the wand contains the fire. And we went straight into the fire. With the cups, we went straight into the water, the element of water and everything that water represents. And with the swords, we went into wind, into air. Okay, why? Because the highest form of swords, the swords are about consciousness. It's a mental process. And the mental process with the swords is about its analysis. The sword cuts things apart to analyze and understand, and the sword gets to the point. But in the end of the suit, a lot of times what you see is the swords turning into feathers, because feathers are representing transcendence. Wings are cutting the air and rising up on the wings, and it's all about consciousness transcending and transforming. And so we went straight to air, but because air is usually stirred up in some way or other, and our consciousness gets stirred up, it's the most prone of all the four suits to get stirred up in all these different directions. And so we went straight to calling it the wind. Also, has some Eastern connotations with the Eastern elements, where wind becomes the element, not air. We decided, it was a decision that we made to use wind instead of air. Okay, and then on the last one, earth is all of manifestation. So when we talk about the coins or the discs or the pinnacles, or sometimes earth is known as planets and things like that too. I've seen tarot decks like that. So we just wanted to go straight to the material of manifestation. So we just called it earth. So anything on earth. So those are very shamanic elements: the fire, the water, the air, and the earth, and then everything they stand for. And by the way, I think I just mentioned some of the things that okay, let's do it this way. Wands, spirit, fire. Wands, fire, spirit. What are some of the other things that fire stands for? Just anybody. What comes to your mind?
Destruction.
Emitting, destructing,
Action.
destroying, action. What was that?
Energy.
Igniting, power. All of those things have something to do with the fire. So the way we can begin is we can just start to think to ourselves, oh, what is fire? What does fire do? Fire is going to consume what's in its path. What is the nature of fire itself? Before even going to any other levels, just start to think, what does fire do? What is that?
It burns.
Fire burns. Right, fire burns, right? And the idea too is that it transmutes, it transforms, fire transforms.
It levels.
Right. And?
Levels.
Oh, it can level. We've seen that. It can definitely level things. Okay, so what about water, cups, and that has something to do with emotion. What else about water? So if you just think elementally, think about the element of water.
Provides shape.
It what?
Provides shape.
Water has no shape unless it's contained.
But when it's contained.
It has to be contained though. Water has to be contained. What color is water?
Clear, transparent.
It's transparent unless it's reflecting something, right? And it's going to seek the lowest places. It's going to follow the path that's laid out for it, because it's always going to be seeking low places if there's some place for it to go. If there's no place for it to go, it's going to be absolutely still. Imagine that. It's absolutely still. And in its primal, pristine state, it's transparent and absolutely still. So it's a different kind of medium than fire, right? Fire is moving. Fire has to consume or it's going to die. It's going to go out. Yeah. And water just sits there.
It has to be acted on.
Water has to be acted on for something to happen. So water is considered a receptive element, whereas fire is considered to be an emitting element.
But it can also like cut through, like rivers cut through and forge new paths through the land.
Absolutely.
So create shapes that way.
Right, absolutely. Water can forge canyons. Mm-hmm. Water can erode and melt.
Just a drip, 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 drip.
Drip, 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 drip. It can erode and melt the biggest boulder and dissolve it into nothing, right? Just with a drip, drip, it can make a hole, you know?
So, and fire goes up and water goes down.
Fire goes up, water goes down. Okay, that's good. Excellent. Okay, so let's just look at wind for a second. Look at the next one. Look at swords, wind, mind, consciousness. Okay, so what are some aspects of that suit that come to you when you just think about wind? Just think about movement. Air and wind.
Movement.
What moves wind, by the way? What makes the air move?
Pressure.
Exactly, pressure zones, right? Mm-hmm. And pressure zones are created by what?
Temperature. Cold.
By heat and cold. And that keeps everything moving in the wind as the rising and falling. Wind gets a little more complicated. I mean, water just sits there unless it's acted on. And air is usually moving high, low temperature, flowing that way all across the planet.
That's how I can see like the fire and the water are the parents of wind. In the deck, clearly, but also elementally.
Aha! And I was just headed there. Okay, and so what about Earth? What about Earth? If we just think about Earth, and then we think about Earth, okay, Earth is manifestation, right? Earth is manifestation.
Going back to wind, though, it's also directional.
Wind is directional.
Yeah, it's directional. Like if you have, you know, the right wind and on a sailboat, you're in good shape, right? You know, it's helpful. But if you have too strong a wind or winds coming from the wrong direction, you can be in trouble, right?
That's right. You can be in trouble if the wind is coming from the wrong direction. Exactly. So I'm just trying to get you to think elementally, and then when you think about the 1 through 10 in the suits, you know, you think, if you know the meaning of those numbers, then you think elementally, you can follow it through perfectly, right? Okay, and also you're going to be able to understand the face cards perfectly if you think elementally. That's where I'm going right now. We're going into the Tarot family. Okay, so what about Earth then? Just anything that comes to you about Earth. Anything. Solid, okay. Solid, it's manifestation.
It contains all the other elements.
It contains all the other elements, that's right, because the Earth is, as manifestation, is going to contain fire, water, and air. So, for example, ourselves, we are bodies of walking Earth, and we contain the fire, which is the life force energy running through us, the spirit of our beings. That's our fiery energy that gets us moving. That's the initiator, right? And we contain the water, exactly like the planet, right? We're made of water in almost the same exact proportion as the planet. We are walking aspects of this planet. And then the wind, the air, which is continually moving within and without, you know, we're looking, that's how we know we're alive, because we're still breathing, you know. Yeah, in the Westerns, in the old Westerns, they find a mirror. They always find a mirror someplace, and they hold it up to see if the person, hold it up to the nose or something to see if the person's breathing, okay? But that's how we know we're alive, is we're alive and breathing, and our hearts are beating, and the blood is running through our body, and then our body is the earth of us, containing the whole of it, right? The whole of it. Okay, so that is the fire, the water, the air or wind and the earth, and fire, water, wind, and earth taken together is the formula that creates the whole of the universe metaphorically, that those elements spin together and create existence. The plane of existence that moves out of the field of all possibility, which I call the pan-original field, right? So it's the field of all possibility, and then these elements begin to swirl together and something is created. The one is created. One something. Like one Kathy, one Cynthia, one Sarah, one Taylor, like that. One Columba, Okay, I better finish that. One Mara, one Wendy, one Kate, it's all, and one Pamela, right? But one distinct individual. And that also correlates with the one emerging in fire, water, air, and earth. Okay, so now what we can do with this is we can place it in different ways. So we were talking about the tree of life. Tarot of the Spirit is a Kabbalistic tarot because it fits on the tree of life and is a hologram. So we were just talking about that. And then the idea that it's a shamanic tarot because it contains the fire, the water, the air / wind, and earth. And you can put that in as like a circle cross, right? A circle with a cross in the middle, and you have 4 quadrants. Okay, and by the way, that's what you see on the tarot calendar, is you see those 4 quadrants fitting together, representing the year, and then the 4 seasons of the year: winter, spring, summer, fall, and fitting in those 4 quadrants. Okay, so this shamanic aspect with the 4 different elements and the 4 different aspects represents for us, this relates back to our deep primal consciousness. This is the deep primal consciousness that it lives inside of all of us, whether we realize it or not. We recognize the symbols from that primal consciousness within us. We recognize fire, water, air, and earth. This is global. This is inside our species. This is deep inside our species. It's this primal awareness. I don't know if this is true, but Carl Jung said, I don't know if there's evidence for it. He said every child's first picture is a circle cross. It's so deep in our consciousness. So I'm not sure that's true. I've seen some kids who drew other stuff first. But in any event, that was his idea. And he certainly brought that forward with his patients because, it's the basic mandala pattern. And then how we work with the basic mandala pattern. So this all fits into a basic mandala pattern. Okay, so this pattern can be placed in a circle, as I've said several times, and that circle can contain the 4 elements, the 4 seasons, and also the circle of the zodiac. It can also be placed on the tree of life. So right now, what I want to do is go back to the tree of life, and I want to place it on the tree of life. By the way, it can also be placed in a grid. So later we'll talk about that. Right now I want to go back to the tree of life, and I want to place it on the tree of life, because now we are going to talk about the face cards of tarot, the court cards or the family cards of tarot, and what they have to do with the tree of life, and then what they mean, how you can interpret them, and what they mean in a reading. So if you place them on the tree of life with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on the diagram, here is how they get placed. Now I'm back onto the family. So the father aspect lives in or around the number 2 at the top of the tree of life. That's where the father lives. The fathers live there. The mothers live in or around the number 3 at the top of the tree of life. The brothers live in or around the number 6 on the tree of life, and the sisters live in or around the 10 on the tree of life. Okay, now, Cynthia, you brought up the idea that the fathers and mothers are the father and mother of the tarot, in a sense. Okay, so the father and mother live in the 2 and the 3, and that appears at the top of the tree of life in what's called the Supernal Triangle of 1, 2, and 3. Okay, then it is said that, I mean, you're right about that, right? It is said that the fire and the water, which is the father and the mother, you're with me, not yet, because I've left something out here, but the father and the mother give birth to all that is. Okay, what I left out right now, and so what I'll put in right now, is that all of the fathers are related to the element of fire. Okay, so they correspond with fire. All of the mothers correspond with the element of water. All of the brothers correspond with the element of air/wind, and all of the sisters correspond with earth. Okay, so the fire element lives in or around the number 2 on the tree of life. The water element lives in or around the number 3. That's the father and the mother. Then the wind element lives in or around the number 6. And then the number 10, that is the earth element. So number 10 is where everything begins to manifest, because the earth is manifestation in one way. Something is going to be manifesting. Okay,
Can you
so
repeat just what you said again before manifesting?
the 10.
No, before that. Huh, all right.
Okay,
Fathers
okay, I'll
are
repeat
fire.
myself.
Okay, never mind. I got that.
Okay, I'm going.
I
I'll
thought I
be
missed something.
repeating. Okay, I'll repeat because I want to make sure everybody gets this, and I want to make sure I say it in a way that makes sense, right? So, and there are quite a few overlays right now that I'm trying to get across. So, the fathers represent fire, mothers represent water, the sons or brothers represent air, wind, and then the sisters represent earth. Okay, in the number 10. So we have the 2, 3, the 6, and 10. It is said that fire and water are the first 2 elements that bring forth everything else in the universe. It's a mystery. Part of the mystery, by the way, is like a Zen koan, and it is that water is the secret abode of fire. And this was this was given to students of the mysteries to comprehend. So somehow water and fire are going to come together. Now here's an interesting thing, by the way, about that if you actually look at water, it contains a deuterium, right? Is that it? Atom. And if they could figure out, if it could be figured out how to access the power in that deuterium atom that's inside water, we could power the earth till the end of the days, right? Because it is like pure fire. And literally, it does live in the water. It's part of what constructs water. But that may be getting a little bit off track right now, because I just do want us to think about these basic elements. So just imagine that the father and the mother live at the top of the tree of life, and from them, the children emerge. First is the child of mind, and then the child of body. Okay, so there's an argument that goes on in the Western mystery tradition about, really, does fire come before wind or air? Really? And the source of that argument is that, wait a minute, before you had the fire and before you had the water, didn't you have to have the vision or the thought of fire and water? Like, who thought it all up? Did somebody think it up? Is there consciousness? Is there like a big consciousness that holds everything and holds everything in place? So a lot of times that big the big consciousness is referred to as spirit with a capital S, like a very huge capital S, or capitalized spirit energy, and that energy is often referred to as fiery air, because it's conscious and it's also moving like fire, and within the spirit of life and the consciousness, everything else emerges. So that's where you get that 5 element idea. So the 4 elements would be fire, water, air, and earth. So you have fire, water, air, and earth, and yes, fire corresponds to spirit, but then there's another level of spirit that makes the 5 elements. So a lot of times you will see the 5 elements being used instead of the 4 elements being used as representation of how everything comes into being. Does that make sense? Okay, so, and then, for example, U.S. Games, who publishes Tarot of the Spirit in their card packs, they always put the suit of air first, which is interesting. You know, so we put the fire first. In my scheme that I am using and the way I'm teaching it, I put fire first, because I see that fiery air as that's yet another suit that precedes fire. But all they're saying there is that the consciousness, there's a big consciousness that precedes everything. And I totally understand that. I totally get it. But the way I'm teaching it right now, we're starting with fire, then we're going to water, then we're going to air, then we're going to earth. So that's the sequence. And it's cumulative. It's cumulative. So you can also say where there's some huge spirit that precedes it all and that begins it all. Okay, so it's very interesting when you start to look more deeply at the Tree of Life, and we're not going to do this today, but it's also very interesting that you see that the Father energy is at the top of one of the pillars of the Tree of Life. The Mother energy is at the top of the other pillar of the Tree of Life, and there's a middle pillar between those two that balances all the energies. And in truth, the pillar with the Mother at the top contains aspects of the other pillar too, because it does become holographic. So even she is going to be containing the male energy, and the male energy is going to be containing the female energy. All of these balances within each other, but maybe she presents as female, but she also contains male energies, because all of us contain all of the energies. And so, like, if a feminine aspect of ourselves is up, that's a receptive aspect of ourselves. If a male aspect of ourselves is up, that's an emitting aspect. So it is said that the suits of fire and air are emitting aspects. That's the aspect that's going forward and moving out. The female suits are the water and the earth. They are receptive, they receive, they need to be acted on by the other elements. Well, the earth contains everything, but water really needs to be acted on by the other elements before anything whatsoever happens. Of its own, water doesn't move. It's quintessentially feminine. I was going to say that word quintessentially. Quintessential means the 5 elements, the essential 5 elements. Quintessential. Quintessential, right? And then when we say something's quintessential, we mean it couldn't be more itself. Like water sitting unmoved in a container couldn't be more itself. Contained water couldn't be more itself, right? Okay, so now what I want to go to is the next level. Oh, wait, I was talking about the pillars. Okay, back up to the pillars just for 1 second. The Father sits at the top of the male pillar. That's called the male pillar of the Tree of Life. The Mother sits at the top of the female pillar. Interesting, though, when you look at those pillars, they don't necessarily contain what you think they're going to contain. The male pillar contains Hesed, the number 4, which is the will to love, and the number 7, Netzach, which is the vision, a vision of how things could be. And also the Hierophant is there, which with a lot of feminine qualities on the male pillar. So it's interesting when you start studying the pillars, and then we also have the Wheel of Fortune on the male pillar. So the 4, we have the 4, which is stable, and we have the 7, which is seeking vision in general. And then on the female pillar, we have Gevura, number 5, which is everything breaking down, and that's on the female pillar, and we wouldn't necessarily expect it there. And we also have Hod, which has, that's a number 8, which has to do with the powers of the mind. So that's on the female pillar really strongly. And the power of seeking is on the male pillar, and the power of finding is on the female pillar. So in other words, when you look at those two pillars, I'll finish the female pillar first. We have on the female pillar, we have the mother at the top, and then the Chariot, then the number 5, and then the Hanged Man, and then the number 8. Those are the two pillars on each side. Not that you have to memorize that or remember that right now, but the point here is that the female pillar contains a lot of aspects and elements that we would normally think of as male, and the male pillar contains a lot of aspects we would normally think of as female or feminine.
And what were the names of those two pillars again? I'm sorry. Oh.
Well, they go by different names, but right now I'm just going to call this the male pillar. And the interesting thing, the male pillar is also called the pillar of mercy. Mercy. And then the female pillar with the mother at the top is also called, interestingly, the pillar of severity. Severity. You wouldn't expect that. And the middle pillar is the pillar of equilibrium, or the pillar of mildness. It's right in the middle. Oh, here's just another note on the pillars. The male pillar is considered to be white. The female pillar is considered to be black. That's the white energy or illuminated energy of fire, the theoretically dark energy of water, right? But the middle pillar, which is the pillar of wisdom, in which holds all the pieces in alignment, that pillar is gray. It's called a gray pillar, but I think of it as silver, because it's like, okay, we'll illuminate that gray, and we're going to call it the silver pillar. And so we want to learn a lot about these pillars, but not necessarily today, okay? Because first I have to get into what I want to talk about now is that, so it looks like there are these 16 cards at the top of each suit, the father, the mother, the brother, and the sister, and they fit into the 2, 3, 6, and 10. But if you can think of it this way, you're really going to be able to learn this very fast. There is really only one father, one mother, one brother, and one sister. Why do I say that? Because all of the fathers correspond in some way to fire. All of the mothers correspond in some way to water. All of the brothers correspond in some way to wind, air, right? And all of the sisters correspond to earth. Okay, so now the 4 if you take the 4 fathers and you move them into one energy, what you have is fire father, because all of them are related to the fire. Okay, so there is one father truly, and that father is fire father. So fire father is the quintessential energy of the male and the suit of fire. Okay, so if, for example, the suit of fire represents spirit, and you have the fire father appearing in that suit, that is all of the father energy goes back to the fire energy. It means all the fathers are related to the fire. They would all be related to spirit. So fire father would be the spirit of spirit, the very energy of fire itself, the very energy of that, everything that happens in fire itself. Okay? And then you can say the same for the mother. She is the water energy itself. She is everything that represents water. So in her own suit, okay, having said that, what would be the suit where the one mother lives in her purest state? Just make up something.
Water.
Okay, good. Water. So the water mother is the one mother. Okay? Right? Because all the mothers go back to water and the suit of water. Okay, now go to the brother. What does the brother represent again? Okay, where does he live? Where is his home in the tarot deck? Wind brother. Exactly. Okay, and then what about the sister? Her suit is earth, so where does she live? Earth sister. Okay, so those are the 4 primal family members. Fire father, water mother, wind brother, earth sister, right? Okay, so how do we get 16 cards out of that? But see, all I want you guys to remember though is the fire father, water mother, wind brother, and earth sister. Okay, because if you remember just that and you think, oh yeah, oh the brothers it's all involved with wind. And what is wind involved with? Just make up something.
And thinking, conscious ideas.
Yeah, ideas, the mind, the mental state, consciousness, okay. So the wind brother is completely involved in that, and all the brothers are completely involved in that, right? Okay, what is the earth sister? What do you think she does? What's she all about? What's she involved in? Manifestation. What else?
Birth.
Well,
I don't know why.
maybe birth. Maybe
Right.
birth. She's not the quintessential birth, though, but she could be involved with birth. So we have to back up and look at what that would mean, okay? But quintessentially, she would be manifestation, and so she would be creation. But I have to back up a little bit here to explain that. Okay, so let's back up to the numbers real quick, and then we're going to look at how they fan out into 16 cards. Okay, the father lives in or around the 2. From what you have learned, what does the 2 represent? 2.
Connection, attraction.
Relationship, attraction. It's the power of attraction. It's 2 things coming together. It's a movement in a direction towards something, right? Remember all the stuff about the 2s? Okay.
Opposites.
And it can also be opposites, maybe coming together, getting integrated, complementary and supplementary forces. All those things can be involved in the 2. But the quintessential, I'm into that word now, the quintessential aspect of the 2 is it's the power of attraction. It's moving outward towards something, right? And it's emitting. You're moving towards something when you feel that power of attraction. Okay, what is the quintessential nature of number 3? That's where the mothers live.
Creation.
3.
Dimension.
Creation.
Dimension.
Well,
Form.
no. Okay, no. Okay,
Birth.
not yet. Okay, but the 3 is the power of creation. It is the power of bringing forth.
Emergence.
What is it?
Emergence.
Emergence is the power of emergence, and so the bringing forth. It's the bringing forth. So that the birth, the quintessential aspect of the birth lives in number 3. Okay, that's where the 3 creates the new plane of experience, and the 3 is the third power. It's called creation, the power of creation. That's the number 3. Okay, so then, then if we go to the number 6, what does the number 6 from your memory of other classes, like when we look at the 1 through 10, what does the 6 represent?
Synergy.
Synergy and what was that?
New thought.
New thought. It does represent enlightened consciousness because it's all about the transcendence of consciousness. The number 6. After we've been through all the difficulties of the 5, we arrive at the 6, which is a new level and a new way of knowing, right? And the 6 that balances everything. 6 is a balancing point. And all the brothers will be living in that place. But like I said, there's only one brother, and that one brother is the wind brother. So he's going to be living in that place of the wind is a seeking place. It's like a seeking, but seeking in the finding of higher consciousness. Right? And then the earth.
So what's the power of that one? What's the name?
Oh, the name of the power, the sixth power is synergy. Synergy, where everything works together, and you start to see, for example, in that synergistic place, how the 4 and 5 are all are both, for example, really important aspects of how the universe operates. And in the 6, in the place of the 6, you can see it all. You're standing in the middle of the 6, you understand how the 7 and 8 work, you understand how the 4 and 5 work. You're looking all around the tree of life and seeing how it all fits together when you're standing in the position of number 6, which is where the brother is standing. Okay, and then the number 10 is the sister. That's where she lives, right? And what do you remember about the number 10?
Radiance.
It's the culmination.
It's a culmination, and then it's also a new beginning, and it is the power of radiance. The 10th power is called the power of radiance. Okay, so the Earth Sister is going to be holding everything that has been learned. Okay, she is going to be, let's call her the second child. So the first child, which is going to be the brother of the mother and father, the wind is born, and then the wind is searching and looking for higher consciousness. That's the nature of the brother energy. And then the sister energy has the ability to embody, metaphorically, but maybe also literally, she has borne witness to her father, to her mother, and to her brother. And she contains all of that energy, and she walks it on the planet as manifestation. Okay, now let's go back to the Fire Father. Okay, so then who is Water Father? Okay, I'm going to answer this question. This is a rhetorical question. What about Water Father, Wind Father, and Earth Father? Because we've got these other suits. Okay, so I'm going to put it this way. Fire Father appears in 4 suits, but he's really Fire Father. So he is Fire Father appearing in the suit of water. Right? Okay, so in some ways I see it as Fire Father is now putting on a cloak of water and appearing in the suit, in his cloak of water. He can put on a cloak of wind, and he can put on a cloak of earth, but he is fundamentally, quintessentially spirit, the energy of fire and the energy of spirit and the energy of the Father. But he's going to get mediated by or modified by or impacted by the energy of water. So what happens when Fire Father puts on his cloak of water? Who does he become? Make something up.
Like a mother.
Well, oh, that's interesting. You say like a mother, because that's interesting, because the quintessential mother energy is water.
Well, wouldn't it more like
So
diminish his spirit?
It becomes more emotional.
He could be like a mother because he could be more caretaking. He could be more emotional or more emotionally connected. And then, wouldn't it diminish his spirit? Well, maybe, because it's certainly going to modulate his energy, right?
Calm.
It's going to calm him down.
Intuitive.
He could become very intuitive, because intuition is part of the suit of water. There's a lot of intuition there.
But what I want to know is what's the difference between the father in the water suit than the mother, who would be intuitive and emotional and filled with love. Why does it matter that the father is in the water suit? How does that, him being the Fire Father in the water suit, what makes that different than someone else being in the water suit?
Well, he brings the energy and the heat to that water suit.
So is he bringing it or is he losing it? That's the thing that is he bringing energy and heat to the water suit, or is he is all his energy and heat being basically consumed by the water, or drowning in the water?
That's a good question.
He's boiling
Okay.
the water.
This is the fire priestess
Easy.
asking if his water's getting
Yeah,
his
I want-
fire's getting
Yeah.
diminished.
See, if he, right? If the
My
priest,
fire's been diminished. I don't know why.
okay, all right. So, okay, look, these are good questions. Okay, so when you're like, say you're doing a reading, or you're working with these energies, it could be a range of answers and experience there. Because is it getting diminished? Is it diminished right now? Is he going to get diminished by becoming more emotional? You know, well, I hear people saying no, but you know, it depends. In general, though, in the good side of the exalted side of the Water Father now, I'm calling him Water Father. He's Fire Father and Water, but I'm calling him Water Father. So in his exalted sense, he is going to have all of that spirit energy moving and flying and all of that, but he's also going to be receptive. The water, remember the water's receptive? He's also going to be receptive. And so, this could be a really good thing that all of this would be at play in the Water Father. Okay? And so you're going to have to make the assessment depending on how these beings show up in your life. Okay, so what are these beings anyway? Let me just go back to that for a second. What are these beings? So now this is a little parenthetical or a little segue. Who are these 16 face cards? The Fire Father, and he is branching out into water, wind, and earth. So that's 4 cards. We can call them the Father cards, but it's really one Father appearing in 4 suits. So he's donning his cloak of water, his cloak of wind, or his cloak of earth. But what is that card about anyway, or those 4 cards? Okay, so that being could be a guide for us, like a spirit guide. Could be a guardian of something. Could be like a guardian, almost like a guardian angel or something, watching over something. And we have learned, if you look at the tarot calendar and listen to the lecture on the tarot calendar, you will see that these family cards actually oversee certain dates of the year. So they can be guardians for those dates, for example. Or this Water Father, we'll talk about Water Father for a minute. Water Father, Fire Father in water, could be an energy we need to bring up within ourselves. And it's something that we want to bring up within ourselves for some reason. For example, if you were doing a reading and you're looking at how something wants to come about, a reading for yourself, and then you say, well, how could I make that work? How will that work for me? And then you draw another card and it's Water Father. Okay, so that could mean bring up the Water Father aspects of yourself. Fire Father, but receptive. So you got all the spiritual energy going, but you're also very receptive. And you're mature, because the fathers are mature. You know, the fathers and mothers are the mature energies. Or you could, you also, if you know somebody, so I said, how could I make that work? And you draw Water Father. And you say, oh, maybe I need to bring up that energy in myself. Or you look at it and you say, oh, this person looks like somebody working in the next office who has those qualities. I'm going to go talk to him. You know, I'll talk to him. So it could be like a person, an actual person, but only you are going to know by looking at the cards how it comes up within yourself. For me, that card, Water Father, comes up a lot as a guide, like from another dimension. I'm just being honest with you, because that's from repetition. That's from the repetition that I've experienced over the years with that particular card. Here's another piece of the Water Father, and I don't want to linger too long on this card. I'm just using it as an example because we're in this card right now, Water Father, because I said, how does Fire Father appear in the suit of water? But you're going to have to look at every one of these, how they appear, and use your imagination. Because what I'm trying to get you to do, we're not going to go through all of them. What I'm trying to get you to do is think systematically about the cards. So that when they come up, you say, oh, it's fire, father, and water. What does that mean? What are the qualities and characteristics of water? How is that going to impact the fiery energy, the fiery spiritual energy of fire, father? So that's what I'm going for right now. Okay, but when you get into looking at the specific card, what you see when you look at the water father card is you see this white figure, or the figure cloaked in white rather, on top of a horse that looks white, and they're in a turbulent sea. They're in an ocean where you can see the waves are breaking everywhere, and essentially what's going on here is this water father has no reins. There are no reins. There's no control. The horse is in a turbulent sea, and essentially what the horse represents is, I'm going to call it, could be a lot of things, but right now I'm just going to call it instinct, because the horse is feeling the energy of the water, and feeling how the movement of the waves. And so, I see this card in a sense, or no reins, right? So I see this card as the horse is the instinct, is the intuition, and the horse is turning around and saying to the water father, hey, what I want you to do right now is you got to trust me through this. I'm the one who's feeling this. You just need to stop wiggling. Stop wiggling. I am carrying you. This is very much like, by the way, riding on the back of a motorcycle, this card. Okay? It's counterintuitive sometimes. You have to lean into the curve. That's counterintuitive because you think you're going to balance it by leaning the other way. And no, that's not going to work. So this is a card that says, hey, lean into this. Lean into this. Because right now there are a lot of things in control besides just your own intense spirit. There's a lot happening right now. So you'd be best off if you just let somebody else take the control. That reminds me of that, what's the story? Okay, just for another minute on this and then we're going to move on, but what's the story where I remember what it is, called Footprints, where somebody is walking with God during a turbulent time, like
they're walking alone, but
they're walking with God, right? And God is with them. And then when things get really hard, it turns into one set of footprints. You're looking at something like footprints in the sand, right? And then when things get really hard, it turns into one set of footprints, and the guy says, where were you in my hour of need? What happened to you? You left me alone. You abandoned me in my hour of need. And God says, no. That's the time I carried you, right? Like, hello, that's what this card is. I'm carrying you, okay? So just pay attention and see what's happening there. Okay, I don't want to go any deeper into the card right now. Oh, I will point out two more things really quickly about this card. One is, if you look closely, you're going to see that the horse isn't as white as you think. Look, what color is the horse?
Pink, red.
Pink. Yeah, it's pink. And if you overlay... Okay, wait, what do you think pink represents? Love. Love. Okay, so the pink is the loving aspects, right? And if you put the Tree of Life overlay on this card, you are going to see that there's a pink circle right in the middle of the horse, right in the horse's belly there. And there's a pink circle right in the middle, and that pink circle falls right in the middle of the number 6 on the Tree of Life, the place of balance and synergy. All right, so this is how deeply you can keep going into these cards. And I don't want to go any more deeply into this card right now. But I want to say that the Fire Father's energy goes into the wind and gets modified by wind. So, okay, how does wind interact with fire? I mean, that's all I want to say. How does it?
Fans it.
Okay, fans the flames. Fans the flames. And wind represents the mind. So the fanned flames of the mind can be brilliant, absolutely brilliant in both all areas, right? Except maybe the wind father maybe it gets out of control too, because it's so crazy on fire with the spirit and the mind, and we need some modification here, maybe with the water. But you can see how it could be a very brilliant male charging energy. We have a lot of that going on in Silicon Valley. A lot going on in Silicon Valley. That gives you an idea, right? Okay, and then if we take a fire father and we put him in the cloak of earth, okay, what do you think happens if fire father moves into
Slows down.
what is it?
Slows down. I mean, if you put fire into earth, it could slow down if it's on dirt's on it.
Yeah, okay, it could slow down, but it could also be inspiriting the earth to grow.
Manifestation, right?
So manifestation. So that is the energy of, you have winter and the ground is frozen, and all of a sudden you've got a sea of grass. Sea of grass. That's fire father and earth. Everything's growing up. Everything's happening. So it's maybe we can't see it yet happening if it's frozen, but it will be happening. The spirit is going to arise again. Okay. So now let's look at Water Mother. Now you see where we're going, so you don't have to go through all of them, right? So Water Mother is the quintessential mother element, quintessential birthing place, and all of that we talked about. The number 3 fitting with the number 3. So I'm going to also give you just a few more little hints. All of the mothers as they appear, or the Water Mother in each suit, all of those mother energies as they appear in the tarot become teaching energies. They're big time teachers. So when the Water Mother appears, I think I'm just in the interest of time, I'll just say a little bit about this, what this is. When Water Mother appears in the suit of fire, see if you can follow this. In a sense, she becomes a spiritual teacher. And you see that there's a lion in that suit, in that picture, of Fire Mother. There's a lion, and the lion represents pure spirit. The cat is one of the energies that represents spirit. And you can find out what all the symbols on all the cards mean in the back of the book Kabbalah and Tarot of the Spirit. There are pages and pages and pages that describe what the symbols mean. And the lion is pure spirit energies, fire. So she's sitting with the lion very docile in front of her. This would be Water Mother in the suit of fire, Water Mother in the cloak of fire. And she's a spiritual teacher, and she knows how to work with the energy of spirit so that she can calm it, in a sense, not really domesticate it, but just work together with it so that both are working together in a very enlightened way. So she's bringing love to the spirit. She's bringing that whole feeling of the maternal aspects in. Okay, so she can also, all the cards have positive sides, negative sides. Every card's a cycle. Her, on Fire Mother, who is Water Mother in fire, right? Everybody's got that now. Her negative side could be if she loses the cloak of, she's actually got a cloak of water in the card, in the Fire Mother. But if she loses her very basic watery, maternal, loving nature by too much spirit, she can flare up. She can flare up into anger, and she will. And one of the dangers of this card I'm going to point out, just with Fire Mother, and again, I don't want to go through every card. You can read about each card, but one of the dangers for her is addiction. Because if she starts flaring up and she starts getting like she's going crazy, she could turn to substances. Like if you catch yourself grazing in the refrigerator too many times this week, Okay, ask yourself, you know, in what way are you kind of flaring up and then trying to bring that down or something? That's one of her possibilities. Or she could go into a rage too. She could go into a rage. So every one of these cards has meditations associated with it, because her meditation would be to keep herself in a state of equilibrium, like a burning pilot light, all the way along, because she's a combination of fire and water, and so she wants to be like a burning pilot light. Okay, and when she appears in the suit of wind is the consciousness, higher consciousness, and it's the mind. So if she's a teacher in that realm, she would be a really wonderful, balanced teacher in heart and mind. Some other symbols that come out on the cards, that you see on the cards in that wind mother, because I'm looking at her right now, she's a winged being. Winged means she's been through a metamorphosis and she's come out in a higher way. You know, like a butterfly. She's emerged as a butterfly. Whenever you see wings on any of the cards, it means that they've been through a heavy metamorphosis and come out the other side. You know, you also see wings in the Earth Mother. Okay, so this is Water Mother appearing in each of those 4 suits. So in a sense, the Earth Mother is a loving being, you know, containing this water. Okay, so now if we go into Wind Brother, let's move to Wind Brother. So Wind Brother also fans out or appears in all 4 suits. As we already discussed, he's at home in his suit of wind. That's where he lives, really. But so let's just take one. Let's take let's take Water Brother. Okay, so if the Wind Brother, who is the mind of mind, Water Mother would be like the love of love, because it's all water and receptive, and it's all about love, you know. And then wind is all about the mind. So if you have Wind Brother, who is mind, but then he appears in the suit of water, what kind of being is that? Just make something up, anything.
Heart. Intuitive.
Heart,
Teacher.
intuitive.
Art.
And what was, art. Oh, art. Yeah, art. Right, art. In fact, my secret name of that card is the Art card, combination of
Which card?
that is the Water Brother.
Oh, Water Brother.
Water Brother, and that is all about thinking through all the emotional stuff that has happened and whatever, and putting it into art forms, because the brother, the Wind Brother, is going to be thinking, and then out of that thinking, and depending on what suit he's in, creating something. So the Art card, so that's Water Brother. And then
Represents the well, right?
the well,
Yeah,
well.
Like in I Ching.
Oh, like an I Ching. Okay. Interesting. This has a very, oh my gosh, like in the I Ching. Okay, so yes, these cards are related. The way that we're looking at these cards with the 4 elements is related to the I Ching and the combination of elements. And if you look in the back of the Tarot of the Spirit, there's a chart that lines these 16 face cards up with the I Ching. So you can see exactly how the 2 elements work together with the I Ching. And it tells you which hexagram it is. Yes. So that's another parenthetical thing, right? Goes very deep. You don't have to do that, but right now all I'm trying to get you to do is think elementally about these face cards. You know, these Tarot family cards, where they fit on the Tree of Life, and then how they fan out into 4 cards. Okay, so let's just do one more on the Earth Brother and then look at Earth Sister. So one more on the Earth Brother for fun. Okay, what about Fire Brother? That's Wind Brother in Fire. Wind Brother in Fire. Okay, so what happens again when you have, you see some overlaps. What happens again when you have fire and wind coming together? They're going to flare up again. Okay, so you see there are going to be 2 cards that are similar, because we already had one that also had a combination of fire and wind, and that was wind father, right? And now we have fire brother with the same kind of energy. Okay, so what's the difference between those two? One is mature, one is a more youthful energy, one is a more mature energy, so you've got that going on too.
Is
Okay.
one more mental and one more spiritual?
Yeah, one would be more mental and one would be more spiritual. Okay, so here's another piece. Like I said, all the mothers have a teacher energy. Okay, so all of the brothers have a warrior energy. Okay, so you can look.
Say that again.
So a warrior energy, all the brothers.
All the first. What'd you say the first time?
The mothers have a teacher energy to them, and it's a very mature teacher energy, and then all the brothers have a warrior energy.
And what about fathers?
And all the fathers are pure spirit coming alive, so they've got a life force energy surging. Yeah, a life force energy surging, and so the fire brother.
Can I interrupt and just go? When you say teacher, I always think teachers of the mind, but the mother is in love and emotions, so it's really a teacher of love.
Mm-hmm. It's the highest form of teaching on the planet.
Because I would have put teacher in wind.
Mm-hmm. It is the highest form of teaching.
Okay.
Because that's where we need to go on this planet. So it also shows directionality in terms of where we need to go.
Mm-hmm.
What about sister in that same?
We haven't got to the sister yet, but just a very last thing, and then we'll go to the sister. Okay, so just a last note on the fire brother. Okay, so fire brother's that combination of mind and spirit, right? And so I think of fire brother, for example, and they're warriors. You know, the brothers are warriors. So I think of fire brother as being something like a radical revolutionary, because he's got so much energy and he's so smart and he's in fire. And so he could be a fire and brimstone preacher person because it's in spirit too, or he could be a poet who is like radical and wild. Compared to water brother, be a different kind of poet. Water brother could be a poet too, but he would be a different kind of poet, where he wouldn't have the same kind of intensity, and fire that fire brother would have, right? Okay, and then Earth Brother is going to be a gentle movement on the planet, the moving meditation. That is an energy that is grounded in all of the elements, too, because Earth always contains all the elements as well.
How does that relate to the warrior energy, though?
Yeah.
The meditation aspect and the warrior.
Okay, how does that relate to the warrior energy? Well, let's go back to Water Brother for a second as a warrior. Well, in that case, the unlikely weapon is going to be a cup. And so it's a different kind of warrior. Now we have a spirit warrior. We have a warrior of love. That's Water Brother. And then the mind of mind, the Wind Brother in his own suit. He is going to be thinking through things and trying to find new and higher forms of consciousness in terms of consciousness and the mind itself. And then when he moves into Earth, he gets modified by Earth, and his dark side could be that he is a warrior on the planet in some way, but his enlightened, illuminated side is that his art of war is that he becomes a moving meditation on the planet. So each one of those brothers has a different art of war that they are practicing. Does that make sense?
I was looking at these four, holding these, the four brothers and thinking about if they had a meeting, like a executive meeting in Silicon Valley, and you would have the fire brother was the activist, and the earth brother is like the guy who leads the meditation and says, okay, we need to capture this so we can use it. So we need to sit and, let's meditate first and then go out and get them.
Yeah, good. Okay, great. So you can see these different archetypes and how they work together, how they fit together, and so on. Okay, let's just turn our attention to the Earth Sister for a few minutes. Okay, so now the Earth Sister, so she is the power of radiance, just walking it out onto the planet. Everything that has been learned by her father, by her mother, by her brother, because she's Earth, she holds all those elements. Earth holds all the elements, because that's how Earth comes alive, with the fire and the water and the air. So Earth Sister appearing in the suit of fire. Oh, okay. This is my code for the sisters. All the sisters are priestesses walking on the planet, So Earth Sister appearing in fire. She's the priestess of the power of fire. And, she is sparked and free. And then in water, she's the priestess of the power of love divine. In wind, she's the priestess of the power of truth. And then in earth, she is the walking Earth Sister. And I call her revelation, because she is continually revealing on the planet Earth. She has the power. She is the power of revelation. And she is also called the mountain in fruition. All of these cards have different names that go with them, and you can look them up in Tarot of the Spirit. And then as you work with them, or this is what's happened with me, I have secret names for all the cards because of repetition from working with them. And they come alive to me. These cards are alive, and they become completely alive. Now, I think there's one more secret that I want to share with you that's really interesting. Okay. First of all, I want to say when they fan out into the four suits, that is also called the four worlds, which I left out. So it's called the four worlds of Kabbalah. So they fan out into the four worlds. Okay, there's one more thing I want to share with you that is interesting and kind of major, and this is yet another way to look at it. So sometimes it's confusing. I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible so that you get it in its absolutely simplest form. But it can get complicated because sometimes people use the Tree of Life in different ways. And it also works in different ways. And one of the ways I want to share with you, if you just look at it from now a different perspective. And so if we look at the Tree of Life, and it's organized into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 3 triangles and then 1 at the bottom. Okay, and Earth Sister lives at the bottom in the number 10. Wind Brother lives in the 6. The Water Mother lives in or around, they say in or around the 3 because she may be guarding over the 3 too. So she lives in or around the 3 energy. And then the Father in or around the 2. Okay, so if you look at the Tree of Life, you see that there's the 1, 2, 3 at the top. And then you see below the 1, 2, 3 at the top, there is this dark energy that's called the abyss. And then below the abyss, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It is said from another angle, looking at this, that the abyss actually separates worlds. The world of manifestation and the world of the unmanifest, or the world of potential and then the world of manifestation. Okay, so if you look at this from a different point of view, the 1, 2, 3 is called the triangle of the supernals, or the cosmological triangle, and that's where the Father and Mother live. So you could also look at the 1, 2, 3 as being something like Mother, Father, and source of all that is, which is the number 1. So this is just another way to look at it. So, okay, then these 3 energies, quintessential energies of the universe, then give rise to all that's going to come. And so whatever crosses the abyss, so to speak, is going to be able to come into manifestation through crossing from one world into the next, from potential into actual. Okay, so, but 4 and 5, which is the 4th and 5th power, those don't have a face card floating around them. They don't have any tarot family floating around them. So the first tarot family card that you come to in the sphere of manifestation is the 6. That's where the brothers live, right? Okay, and then the 10 is also in manifestation. Okay, so here's another way to look at it. These 4 family cards represent the 4 suits, and they also represent the 4 worlds. So Fire Father represents the world of fire. Water Mother represents the world of water. Wind Brother represents the world of wind. Earth Sister represents the world of earth. Okay, but this one tree of life can also represent, if you look at the tree of life, the whole suit of fire going down. So if it's the whole suit of fire going down, you have the 1 of fire, 2 of fire, 3 of fire, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you have fire Father, fire Mother, fire Brother, fire Sister in the suit of fire, right? Okay. Fire all by itself is not manifestation. It's just the potential for manifestation because it's life force energy, but it needs more to become manifestation. Okay? So you can also take the whole tree of life and you can place the suit of water on it. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of water, and then you have water Father, water Mother, water Brother, water Sister. So that is like another layer. So you have the fire layer of the tree of life, then you have the water layer of the tree of life, then you do the wind layer of the tree of life, then the earth layer of the tree of life, right? The earth layer of the tree of life is going to be manifestation. Now, here's a mystery. Now, let's pretend like the tree of life is the suit of earth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in earth. Earth Father, Earth Mother, Earth Brother, Earth Sister. Okay? But the 1, 2, and 3, if we look at it from this point of view, are not yet manifest. They're the world of potential. Okay? So, Earth Brother would be the first full being. Did I say?
Earth Brother.
Yeah, Earth Brother would be the first fully, fully, I don't know what we're going to call him. He is complete. He's got the fire, he's got the water, he's got the air, he's got the earth, and he is manifest, walking on the planet. Him, Earth Brother, and his sister, Earth Sister. They are the 2 beings walking on the planet as the fully enlightened, manifest beings. Can you follow that? It's another way to look at it. So when you pull Earth Brother and when you pull Earth Sister, that's the culmination. That is as full, as far as it can go. Okay, so you can look at these face cards in different ways. You know, one, you can look at them for energies that they represent, that they manifest, or they could be archetypal. Like we said, oh, that water father, he seems like that person in the next office. I need to go talk to him. Something like that, right? So they can represent energies, they represent archetypes, but depending on how you're working with the deck, or if you're doing readings or whatever, another way to see it is that the Earth Brother and the Earth Sister are the 2 walking on the planet. So in a sense, ultimately, that's what we aspire to be, is those 2. And he is the moving meditation in the fullest state of consciousness. And she is the power of radiance in the fullest state of consciousness on the planet. And she is the walking Shekinah, which is the holy energy alive and living and well on the planet.
That's why you have her on the book.
And that is why she is on the cover of the book, and that is why she was on the cover of the deck. And then they changed her without my knowledge and understanding. They changed her on the cover of the deck to the Magus when they did the 20th century, when they did the 20th year anniversary of Tarot of the Spirit. Okay, there's one more question.
I'm just trying to keep up on Earth Brother, but describe Earth Sister one more time. Yeah, I got the Shekinah part, but like.
Okay, and this is where we're going to end right now. So, Earth Sister is the manifestation walking on Earth, and she contains the spirit, the heart, and the mind. She is the highest consciousness manifesting on Earth and radiating. And she is called the Holy Shekinah. And now that we're back on her one more time, I'm going to say that the other aspect of the Holy Shekinah, which means the living presence of the divine walking on earth, for those who have eyes to see and who have developed their consciousness to this state, everything we are looking at on this planet, all the trees, all of the people, all of the flowers, everything becomes the Holy Shekinah. It is all the Holy Shekinah. It is the divine, living energy of Earth manifesting. And that is why Earth Sister is called the mountain in fruition. Mountain is the earth itself. And in fruition is everything alive and becoming. And let's end right there, because I think that is enough for us to take in on the Tarot family. May they serve you well, and may you enter even more deeply into the Tarot family and learn ever more how to walk in a state of beauty and grace, which the Earth Brother and the Earth Sister represent.